I'm recording on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025 at 3:32 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Jeff Prather, who's been on here a zillion times before. Your books are in the description, the links to your show, all that good stuff. Prather Point, all that, all the social media is in the description. But been just watching this thinking about the show we did a couple weeks ago about Trump's three-point plan or three-pronged war. And just kind of seeing your posts on Facebook the last couple of days, it seems to be a pretty common refrain from the ex-military guys I know, which I understand is a huge umbrella. Um, all kind of what you're saying though. Like this is this we can see the writing on the wall. It's the thing you showed. Yeah, Iraq, the Q turning to an end. That's exactly what it is. And it's
Oh, you saw that.
yeah, and it's like the way I try to word it is this, and then I'll hand it over to you, is like all the wars in hindsight that we know are BS. They didn't seem like 100% BS at the time. Even if most people were calling them out, there's always an air of believability. There's always some coding of, well, we got to do. It's never outright just a lie. There's some degree of conviction. And so when you look at it now and you go, well, this is different. Iran's got nuclear. It's every single time there's some coercive argument for why we need to do this. And there's stages if we'll just do a little bit and we're not going to do nation building. And then, I mean, it's like relapsing. We look back 20 years later, we go, never again, no more endless wars. And this is just kind of what happened. So I think at a certain point, you got to just plant your feet and be like, no. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and I want to hear your thoughts specifically on what's going on. For future listeners, the U.S. bombed the Iranian nuclear sites, I don't know, several days ago, and it's still, I would imagine, escalating. So, your thoughts, Mr. Prather?
Yeah, are you there?
Yeah. You're back.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm getting connection unstable. I get that on Zoom. I don't get that on StreamYard. But anyway, I don't think that's the case with World War II. I
Sure.
think we had to fight World War II. We won World War II. Um, sure, Roosevelt blockaded Japan, but he just knew we had to get in the war before we had to launch the uh, the invasion from across the ocean. It was hard enough to do across the channel, and that was before the CIA was created. It
Hmm.
was the OSS, and which some people don't like, was but fairly effective. But again, the OSS was a subservient mechanism to the military, as opposed to what's happened since then, which is the intelligence community. And of course, I was deep in the intelligence community, DIA. Uh, the intelligence community is now the master of the military, and it should never, ever be that way. It was not constitutionally that way. Washington had his intelligence network that he ran, but he ran it, he controlled it. It was subservient to the war effort, to the military, and that has been reversed, and that's the big problem. But yeah, I think all the veterans at this point are pretty aware of what's going on, and why. And so this is not really. Yeah, I'm glad you remember the three war strategy I talked about, and this is not that. And this is not that because that was starting to work. So we can't have that because that disrupts the deep state double government's
Yeah.
dark economy of people, drugs, and weapons. The global cabal and all that. The communists and Antifa were stirring up LA, and Trump brings in the troops. LA says, hey, yeah, we couldn't control this. We needed the troops in there. Uh, he was making, I think, reasonable progress with his tariff war with China. I think there was good progress with the cartels, which the cartels, what's going on in LA is really a subset of the cartels, by the way. It's their turf that they're trying to hold on to. Those are their proxy fighters. So a whole bunch of rogue elements said, well, let's do another made up Middle East war. And let's focus on people far away. And let's bring Israel into it again, because American Christian Zionists are always ready to get on board, even though it's scripturally incorrect, even in even in Torah, not even just in New Testament, but Torah as well. And then here we find ourselves with, I don't think Iran actually had the nuclear capability. And by the way, the director of national intelligence, Gabbard, agreed with me as well. And the former deputy director of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, General Manner, also agreed with me, saying that even if the facility were bombed and one bomb would not do it, it would take multiple deep bombs to do it. It would only set the facility back 6 to 12 months. And now we've also heard that they had already moved the enriched uranium out to another location. So, what's the purpose of this? The purpose of this is distract from the real problems so that no one's talking about Epstein, no one's talking about indicting Biden anymore. Patel and Bongino and Bondi can go on doing virtually nothing. And now everybody gets worked up about Iran.
Yeah, there's no surprise that they moved the fissile material. I don't think anyone with a pulse is surprised by that. If I had to imagine to play devil's advocate, it would be to destroy the facilities so that that can't happen. But I mean, it's an odd, why wait now? Why wait till now? If you're not
Right,
waiting for the
exactly.
actual
Why
construction of the
now?
bomb, why
Yeah,
not?
why now?
Even within the Trump presidency, why not January 20th? Why not the 21st? And so you have to wonder, well, then what is I mean, and this is, I suppose, a weakness or an attack vector on someone like me or someone that holds beliefs like me. I want, I want to defend Trump. I want to like him. So I'm going to try to find, whether I realize it or not, whether I acknowledge it or not, consciously or subconsciously, I'm going to try to find a way to rationalize this in my head. And I think that's dangerous. I think. You know what they say about, drink, Alcoholics Anonymous or like Narcotics Anonymous. They say, like, don't. They go, you just have to. The rule has to be no, because if you start talking to yourself, you'll talk yourself right into it. I talk myself into cheat days. Well, I've been dieting. I did a lot of pull-ups this morning, and you start rationalizing it versus you just go, no, not until you
Well,
fit into these
I
shorts.
want to like Trump too, and I do like Trump, and I think it's a nuanced issue
Yeah, 100%.
as well. And there are several things to look at. And first off, there's the school that says Trump's in on everything. He's always been on everything, and I don't buy that. And I go back to Butler. And anybody who knows anything about ballistics and sniping knows that Trump was not part of that. They were trying to kill Trump.
Yeah.
Uh, and anybody who says otherwise, that it was a setup, doesn't understand ballistics and rifle fire. Notwithstanding, I don't think it was crooks. I think the Secret Service and the CIA were in on it. Of course, back then they're saying, no, it's Iran. Crooks got, so even then you're seeing it. Even last year, you're seeing that. But Trump, I think, is a threat. You can always tell. When I first got shot at in the Las Vegas salient in the border of Nicaragua back in the 80s with my counterparts, I then knew my counterparts were with me because they were getting shot at with me. So that's who you
Double agent.
determine. That's who's on your side.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we didn't even know who was shooting at us, but I did know that
At
the
the very
guys with
least,
me.
they're not. Hey, they're trying to blow your brains out too. All right, he's good.
Yeah,
He's clear.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. That's exactly right. No, that's it. Is he's good now. He's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
good. So Butler proved to me that Trump wasn't in on it. Then Ruth at the golf course proved it, and then the next one proved it, that he hasn't been in on it. But is he misdirected? Is he managed? Is he controlled by a Constellation staff that has all kinds of other interests? Most certainly. And a lot of that is Zionism, which is the political state of Israel. It's not the religion of Judaism. That's the difference. Uh, and a lot of it is the deep state trying to ensure their dark economy keeps running. But he may be, the question really becomes is how witting is he? Because there may be, so he's, so there's a human acronym, probably one of your CIA guys, has said it, I've been saying it lately is MICE is money, influence, coercion, ego, and revenge. And so if I apply that motivational matrix to Trump, I say ego right away.
Sure.
So he's rich, he's famous, he's been president once. So what more legacy can he have? Well, he could topple Chinese communism. He could be then like a Reagan. So if someone got to him and said, via the Israelis cutting off the Iranian oil to China is a tipping point, which they are collapsing. And Chinese communism will collapse. I've said that all along, and I still say that. Then that might have been an ego enticement to move into this. That's one. There's others.
That's 100% a way you'd, and I've I've always kind of said this, and I don't think it's like a novel idea, is the first thing is primarily money. And then once you get money and you're bored of that and you have billions, next thing's power. You want what money can't, you want legit power. And then after you've had power, you want legacy. I don't doubt that that's an attack vector. Yeah, you look at me, you go ego. I mean, and because that's the first thing I thought is like you're the guy that went in and yeah, used B-2 stealth bombers to hit. I like that's you're really putting your nuts on the table. But you know, I I would like to think by doing that they kind of voided who knows in a parallel timeline. If he didn't do that, maybe Iran was the next, 10-year ground war. Maybe this is maybe you're removing the reasoning for that. Now, I get that's very quickly slipping into this is 5D chess, which I don't believe. That's the only silver lining I think I could even attempt to paint around this is you went and hit him, so now you can't do the occupation. I
Well,
don't.
so it looks like because it looks like all this was preset. The Iranians warned, hey, we're going to strike back to
Mhm.
save face, to make sure our internals are aware, but make sure, we're not going to hit the base, the Qatar military bases, U.S. bases. They gave notice of that. This all seems to have been preset, and I don't think Trump's balls really were on the table here. Now that there's some great pilots who flew lots of hours, but that's what pilots do.
Yeah.
That just goes with the to air now. But pilots always go down, and then you got to send in CSAR, combat search and recovery guys, PJs or whomever. So it inevitably happens. The win from the air myth has been going on for a long time. It is never true. And any infantryman knows the truth. You got to put boots on the bloody, muddy ground to win, for sure. And I'm very afraid of mission creep with this, and we should be because Persia, is a major power. But it could be that Trump set all this up and preset this with Israel, really to focus on tipping China with cutting off the oil. But of course, now the latest news is that the ceasefire's back on. But I called the war 5 days before it was open. I got protected intelligence on Tuesday saying that the bombers were heading that way. I called that the truce would not hold. I called the October 7th stand down. Uh, so we will see what happens here. But the other part, of course, is this suits the Israeli mechanism as well, because there's been a lot of anti-Israeli, which is interpreted as anti-Semitic, which is not true. Anybody from the Mideast, by the way, is Semitic. It's not just the Jews. It's anti-Zionistic, and putting Israel first. And so this also suits their means. And I think also, by the way, that Israel broke the truce, the first truce, not Iran, because again, Iran was being very careful to say, "Hey, we're going to strike back now, but we don't want to hit any of your people." It just came out that the CIA director told Mossad to not do anything, and they're full of false flags. USS Liberty being the most outstanding one. The Israeli art students on 9/11, October 7th. There's a long history. So I actually think that the Israelis broke that, and the Iranian plus the IDF jets were already in the air. So I think that was part of it, just like they broke the Gaza truce as well. So there's that Israeli influence is huge. So many congressmen are dual citizens. They're so paid off by that. So it fits a lot of people's agendas to do this. It fits Trump's legacy. It fits the Israelis' agenda. It fits the military-industrial complex agenda as well. And then, whether they're actually hitting the facilities or not. Again, I'm quoting General Manner, former deputy director, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. It would only set them back 6 to 12 months. They would rebuild it. So actually, the CNN report, I actually find myself agreeing with CNN for once, and it supposedly came out of the DIA. It was supposedly leaked out of the DIA, which is interesting because the DIA is all military guys, and their intelligence is designed to protect the country, where the CIA is designed to provide intelligence to the president, supposedly, although it really just provides intelligence for themselves.
It's a self surviving system. Yeah, I heard a quote, and it was there's like a theorem in cyberdynamics. I don't even know what cyberdynamics is, so I don't even want to pretend like I know. But it was the theorem is whatever a system does is what it's meant to do, regardless of mission statement, regardless of ideas. What it does is what it's meant to do. It kind of seems like the system is just going war. We do war, and we don't really care where we get it. In terms of larger picture, because it's not at all out of the realm of possibility to look at, what's a bigger threat than Iran? Obviously China. That's the behemoth behind it. That's the real monster. Could it be, and I don't even necessarily agree with the sentiment, but it's an idea nonetheless. Could it be that you do something like, you know, prop up Ukraine, or you do something like you go and hit Iran because these are meant to put a message out like this is what will happen. All of it is really meant to illuminate what will happen in Taiwan. Do you think there's any, I don't know, meat to that it's less about Ukraine, it's less about Iran, and it's more about you kind of making eye contact with China while you're doing this. Like if you go in Taiwan, here's now one, you backing Ukraine, okay. It is better or worse, just in a vacuum. It is ballsy to go bomb 3 sites in Iran. That's not nothing. Do you think that is a way to say that it's, the talk is backed up, regardless of if it's right, wrong, whatever, just factually or rationally? Do you think there's
Yeah,
any
certainly
logic
that
behind it?
certainly that adds credibility to the defense of Taiwan. Just like when Reagan fired the traffic controllers, that established his
Yeah,
credibility. I'm
yeah.
going to do what I say. That notwithstanding that, I don't think that we will defend Taiwan, and we certainly cannot hold Taiwan. And that's always really important to understand as well. But can we defeat the Chinese military? Definitely. And this is where I disagree with Hegseth. And I just did an interview with Mike Adams yesterday. He was asking me the same kind of stuff. I don't think it's out yet, but China is a paper military tiger. They get beat. Whomever they go up against, they get beat. Their aircraft systems don't work. And again, it's just not a motivated army because it's a communist motivated army from the top. Now, but could we invade China? No. Just
No.
like just like you can't invade Russia.
No.
Eventually, they'll just keep throwing people at you. Uh, uh, or in Russia, you get the Russian winter, and that's how you win. But could we defeat the Chinese military and navy, even though our navy's pretty bad right now? They keep pushing F-35s off carriers, and stuff running into each other at sea. The sea is big; it's hard to run into each other, but they are seeming to manage it.
They're
It's not
pulling
the World
off.
War II military. The World War II Navy was a bunch of badass. They, you know, a submariner fired the first shot on Pearl Harbor and actually invaded Japan. And I mean, the World War II Navy was badass, tough guys.
Yeah.
That is not the Navy of today. But notwithstanding, um, we could defeat China, but we'll never have to. They don't ever want to fight us kinetically. That was the whole point of the unrestricted warfare doctrine and Trump's tariff war counter. So, that whole thing is for budgets and agencies, including the DoD, do one thing. They always ask for more money. And I saw this in the DEA. I saw this in the DIA. In fact, it was funny because by third quarter, every year in the DEA, somebody would come to me and say, Jeff, what kind of firearms? Because I was the firearms guy. So, what kind of gear do you want to buy? And the reason is because they've been hoarding all their money throughout the year,
Hmm.
and so now they had to use it
Now they
up
got
so
to
they could
burn
go
it.
back and say, "Hey, we need more money." So I always got the guys new gear at the end of the year because for the next year's budget they wanted, and I always said I could be an SES because I could divide a pie into four sections and do better.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, two is and I know people hate this and I don't even like the words, but I mean, Biden did two things that I actually do, and I could be woefully ignorant, but I actually do respect. And one was the CHIPS Act to bring back the specialized, or not bring back, to bring for the first time the specialized fabrication capabilities of TSMC in Taiwan. I think it was done in conjunction with TSMC. Taiwan, for those who don't know, and I barely know anything about it. It's not that they're the only ones that can manufacture the stuff. They're just really good at the really, really tiny stuff, the 2, 3 nanometer stuff. And that's the value of it. He did the CHIPS Act, which I think put a bunch of manufacturing. I don't know if they're actually open now, but like in the center of the United States, so it's like equal distance from the borders. And the second was, I think it was the Pacific Defense Initiative or Pacific Deterrence Initiative, which was essentially we started, I don't know, reactivating, or we went to these old like World War II island hopping places where it all been rusted out. We actually started making runways again. It was a triple tiered ring between China and the United States, and they made some exception to where they put a ton of nuclear weapons on these. It was essentially a minefield of nuclear weapons, and it was like you're not moving this way. No one wants to hear that because, it's nuanced discussion isn't fun. It's difficult. It requires brain cells. But those are no, I don't think it was Biden. I think it was those around him. Maybe there are still good people somewhere in the military. But with those two things, it kind of makes me think that, yeah, we're not even, the whole thing might be a pump fake. Or it's like it's the image is that we're going to defend Taiwan if this happens via Ukraine and via Iran. You can see that we're going to back it up. But that even might be like a shadow. They might invade in Taiwan, get ready for this big fight, and then we just don't do anything. Like I have no idea. I can't. I would like to think the only thing that can possibly make sense to me in a way that I like, which is not logic, it's preference, is that this was to neuter the very possibility of a protracted war in Iran. Because it kind of was. It's, if we really wanted, we would have, dropped a couple tactical nukes on, on Tora Bora and killed bin Laden and then, be done with it. We obviously didn't do that. That's the only thing I could think of. But I mean, it sounds an awful lot like I'm falling into this is 6D chess, which I don't, which I hate.
Well,
I hate that. This is 9D chess. That
well,
Bongino isn't pressing charges against pedophiles. No, it's not. It's not 9D chess. It's a ticket to the center of hell.
it is. Well, lots of good points there. So I agree with you on the chip stuff. And there was I forget what company it was, but a Taiwanese company rented an entire container ship, which is no small amount of change, and brought their business over to Phoenix, I believe it was.
Yeah,
Um, and so, yeah, that was a good initiative with whomever. Not going to credit Pedo Joe with that, but somebody
whatever.
around there, and I'm
Yeah,
sure they got their side deals,
sure, sure.
on there as well. Um, the second one, I'm not sure I agree with. So you were saying, what was your second one again?
I think it was Pacific Defense
Oh
Initiative
yeah,
or
so the
Pacific
Pacific
Deterrence. I don't even know if
Defense.
that's real.
No, it is real. And I remember looking at it, and I think they did do what you said. But again, it's setting up for a kinetic war with China that is never going to happen.
Sure,
So it fuels the military industrial complex.
sure.
It also, though, what they were also doing is setting up new biolabs. I reported on this as well, because a lot of the Ukrainian biolabs got destroyed, and Indonesia. What's her name? I guess it was Hillary, when they fired off uh, missiles towards Taiwan, but just into empty water. If you remember that, that was totally a dangle. Then she went to Indonesia, and she went to some areas that were biolabs. And so they were relocating U.S. biolabs that had been destroyed by Russia in Ukraine over there. So that one I don't agree with you
Sure.
as much as well. And plus, there's no kinetic threat there. But again, you can have this distant war, which nobody really understands and nobody really knows where it's at. And you're supporting Israel, so that goes great for all the American Christian Zionists who don't understand Scripture. Uh, and then you're back in business. While Trump can work on his legacy of collapsing China as well and looking like a powerful guy and then a peacemaker as well. So it covers a lot of it checks a lot of agendas for a lot of people. But there's one big problem with that, and that is, and I don't quite get this piece because in Israel, Trump, I had on my Team America S3 yesterday, who's an Israeli and Judaism expert, talking about how Trump has been possibly recognized as the political Messiah to bring about the coming of the religious Messiah. We're talking Orthodox Jews here, not Christians at all. I can't square two events that have happened. Can't square it with Israel. I can square it with the deep state. So we know, well, I believe totally the deep state wants to kill Trump because he's endangered them. But starts with Butler, like we talked about. Um, but about a month ago, he announced no more. He went over to the Middle East. He snubbed Israel. He snubbed Netanyahu. He ignored the golden pager threat. And he said, we're not going to, he went to, I think it was Qatar, and said, we're not going to have any made up Middle East wars anymore. He said, every time we do this, we bring in somebody worse than the last dictator. And you guys have built up your countries, not by our regime changes, but by your own hard work and sweat. And we're not going to do this anymore. And I was praising Trump for this.
Sure.
I said, this did not get enough play in the press because it was a major sea change in doctrine. So then what's he do 6 weeks later? A made up Middle East war. He says is not for regime change because he says he stopped Israel from killing Khamenei, which I'm not sure how he's in the chain of command of that. Uh, and then the second thing is he ridiculously and naively makes this absurd announcement of the 12-day war is over. And within the hour of making the announcement, the truce is broken. So I have to conclude from now, because I'm using the mice matrix and I'm concluding ego, I don't think Trump likes to be humiliated.
No,
I don't think anybody likes to be humiliated, but ego. But if
exceptionally him.
when I'm wrong, I actually get on the air and say, "Hey, I was," because I'm a follower of Yeshua, so I'm following Yeshua's protocol. So I go, so I self-reflect, pray, repent, and then get on the air and I'll confess.
Yeah,
And actually, people like that,
yeah,
and then they forgive me.
yeah.
Trump
You're
should have done
human.
that. Trump should have done that with Operation Warp Speed. He would have been forgiven. He has never done that. But for Trump to be humiliated like this in this short of time frame tells me that it isn't him, that he is being steered into this.
Mm.
And of course, he listened to Mossad. He had to listen. He didn't listen to the DNI Gabbard. Uh, he had to have been listening to Mossad. I don't care what she says, because Gabbard and March just said they're not there. They don't have it. That's our intelligence capability. Well, what do you have an intelligence service for if you're not going to listen to them? I mean, granted, you take the intelligence and then you decide. But to just discard it like that and then take foreign intelligence. Well, the first thing about foreign counterintelligence when you're working foreign counterintelligence, and I have worked foreign counterintelligence, uh, is this disinformation? Is this real intelligence? And this is why CI guys go crazy, because it's really hard to ever tell, are we being set up, or not? So to me, it looks like he is being directed, because I can't see him humiliating himself like this in this short period of time, twice like that.
Yeah, that's he's got a huge ego, and yeah, that didn't look fake. That was on the White House lawn. Was it yesterday? These two countries don't know what the fuck they're doing. That didn't that that look for better or worse, ego, no ego. Nonetheless, it's in the matrix. It's in the matrix. I don't think he likes to be embarrassed, and that was immediately. You do
And on
kind of look
Saturday, if you remember when he announced it on Saturday, it didn't look like he was. It looked to me like he was unhappy about making the decision to go to war last Saturday.
the bombing.
The bombing, yeah.
I didn't actually watch that speech. I mean, I saw the tweet or the truth or whatever. I didn't see that. Um, but yeah, no, he put out that huge thing. It was like the war is over. It'll be ceasefire this,
And
ceasefire
all the Church of Trumpers were going
that.
crazy. I'm like, are you
My
crazy? And
first thought was like, yeah, Israel's not gonna listen to that. Like, come on, you betting man. I'm not putting $1 on that. I'm like, did Netanyahu come out? If he comes out and says it, okay. Trump's just tweeting this. I'm like, Israel's not going to look. And why would you? If you're Israel and you got a bigger guy doing the fighting for you, why would you stop? I'm not defending Israel.
so here's my scenario: is Trump is ego is played by Mossad.
Sure.
So because Mossad and Sayeret and Sidoran, they are great at humans. There's nobody better at human. In fact, for the war, they even showed videos. I don't know if you saw them, of Mossad and Sayeret commandos on the ground. They were saying inside Iran, launching their drones and everything. And then somehow they killed these 9 scientists simultaneously inside Iran. That isn't missile stuff. That's human guys on the ground. That's commandos on the ground slitting throats or something like that. So I'm sure that before all this, it may have been a deception now that Trump brushed off Netanyahu when he went to the Middle East. I mean, he had the gold Ark of the Covenant for the new temple build at Mar-a-Lago for like 6 months, and I'm sure they were sharing we're just going to show you, Mr. President, but this is our intelligence. So yeah, they've got guys on the ground. They're great at that. So then I can see how he could be convinced to believe them from the region on the ground more than Gabbard. And so then I can then see him turning around to them again and saying, no, no, we'll keep the peace. The truce is on. And then again, they get to turn around and blame Iran. And everybody, how many Iran commentators or just showing Iran's side of this have you seen anywhere?
None.
None. That's right.
Yeah.
None. And so how well, so my job as an intelligence guy was to understand the enemy. Okay, well, how are you going to understand the enemy if you're not studying the enemy and you're not looking at the history and everything? So I actually was on some very patriotic Bible folks forum that I've been invited into, and they were, people are cutting, they're defunding me on locals and Patreon left and right because of Trump and because of Israel, what I'm saying. And they were actually spelling Israel, Israel. That's how much they knew about Israel. But, their pastor on Sunday said, Israel.
The the brainwashing of Americans that are pro-Israel is so, I mean, and I get it just because I was born in 1990 and it was just something you heard kind of growing up. It was just, yeah, they're like us and they're fighting the terror. But that also worked because I was 10, right? That there's a lot of other things I believed at then that I don't believe anymore. At a certain point, you do have to ask yourself, well, why in God's name are we doing this? Especially when it seems to really only benefit them. It's not World War II where there are legitimate alliances against legitimate common enemies. This seems a lot. I will never understand though. I'm with Israel forever. Why? Why? You have you have people overdosing on fentanyl in your streets. It's Israel till the day I die. Yeah, I mean, I saw someone post the other day that I get no matter when, no matter why, I stand with Israel to the day I die. I'm like, the day you die, we'll be in a foreign war for that country. Like, don't worry, they're
Well,
gonna they're gonna back you up on that.
I think I've told you before, my wife's family is Jewish. And they knew I was a veteran. And so they'd always tell me, family gatherings, hey, my son's going to go join the IDF. And I'm like, why join the IDF? Go join the American military. But they're all liberals. So they would never join the American military, but they would send their kids to join the IDF. The IDF is not that great. Now, the IDF commandos have done some cool stuff. I mean, Entebbe is cool
Sure,
shit.
yeah, right on Entebbe.
In the SOCOM community, Entebbe, yeah.
Yeah, right on Entebbe. Yeah.
Princess Gate, yeah. We love to
Sure,
look at,
credit, yeah, credit where it's due. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
But as a whole, they're not particularly fearsome, and they're falling apart. Now these days, and again, they should be defending America. But I've now, pulled back my recommendation for young folks to join the military because I'm just very afraid of mission creep here
yeah.
because the manipulation is so obvious. And you're saying all the other vets you've talked to are saying the same thing.
They're all of them. And like that's the thing is like people then take that and run with it. They're like, yeah, all the vets hate Israel. I'm like, no, they don't. They're just saying like, this isn't our thing. That's the other thing is people take that and immediately go like, you're right, yeah, if you're finally you're J pilled. Like, no, I don't think we should be involved. I don't think we should be involved. And but yeah, no, they're all looking at this. They're like, no, 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 no. Like, no, we just got out of this. It's been 4 years. 4 years in August. We just got out of
Yeah,
this.
we're just trying to pass the bill to stop paying the Taliban millions of
It,
dollars. We're
it,
still
it,
sending money over to
that's my
Ukraine.
point. That's my point. And you can see and I've never seen such a clear rejection of the conservative influencers who are like, if you're anti-bomb in Iran, you're not mad guy. There is a resounding people like, no, fuck you.
Well,
Like
so that's an interesting point because that's the other point here that I think the deep state is trying to do. So the
they
first
want
point
to,
they're
yeah,
trying to do is delegitimize Trump, and they are doing delegitimizing Trump by showing him reverse himself and then be embarrassed in this short period of time. So that's within the public memory. The second is to split MAGA, because that, when you say what's the DA's mission, it's to dismantle drug cartels. Well, I think they're trying to dismantle MAGA because MAGA is split over this. There are the veterans, like myself and others are like, we should not be doing this yet again. And then there are the Zionists, and mostly, I think, civilians who have never served. And so that's another way. And I think that's another thing that's being done here purposefully. Again, there's a whole bunch of bad actors who have different agendas that band together, just like a pack of hyenas to tear down Trump. And again, Trump said it a long time ago. They're not after me; they're after you. I'm just in the way. And so, by delegitimizing Trump, they split MAGA. And that's the beginning of destroying the coalition. And I think it is in trouble over this, particularly.
It is, but I will say in a time where everything is just, kind of the last 5 years, everything's pessimistic. I will say it's surprisingly optimistic, the sort of immune response I've seen from other conservatives or right-leaning people I know who are just outright rejecting the attempt at like, listen, if you're MAGA, you got to support Israel. Everyone's like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, 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 no. And it works. It's not even like it's 2003 where you got 9/11 2 years in the rearview mirror, and it doesn't really matter if it makes sense. It's no one's gonna come out and like oppose, vengeance. But it's been 24 years, and it's been 4 years since that debacle trying to withdraw from Kabul, that you have enough people who are like, no, you shut up. You have the comments are actually heartwarming. Go to any of these channels on Rumble, these big conservative influencers. The comments are actually
They are. I
heartwarming.
said,
That
yeah, I've seen some of them. You're right.
they're
I've
all
seen,
like
but
they're all
I
like
saw
shut
one
up.
on Bongino where he's like, "Hey, being FBI director, assistant director is hard on my family." Yeah, welcome to the ranks of what it's like.
You know, you know what else is
Shut up,
also hard on
quit
a
whining, and
family?
stop doing. Yeah,
It's
just
it's also hard on your family is I don't know when your child your gift from God is kidnapped and raped on an island, Dan.
yeah, yeah,
Go it's and I always try to be careful about like self-righteous high horse. I get it. There are some things that are so clearly delineated. You pursue Epstein files or say hello to Lucifer. I mean, but
yeah.
regard me and some
No,
friends.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
That's something that's so down the middle. Like anything else, maybe you get into the Pentagon or something. I would imagine there's a lot of gray area. Like, no, we can't just outright nuke Mexico because this will happen and this will happen. I get that, like my simplistic mind. I'm sure there's a lot of gray. I'm sure there are some reasons to support Ukraine. I don't, but I'm sure you could get into the nuance, whatever. And you could be like, okay, okay not not going after Epstein. It is so. This is the way I look. And I might have said this with you before. Maybe it was someone else. Every once in a while, you'd have a cool professor in college who would just give you the most bullshit extra credit because they would know. And for me, somebody like I had just gotten into medical school and I had to take like another language. So I was on like my third semester of German or something, and I was failing it. And it wasn't like I was going to become a German teacher or something. This was clearly some hoop I had to jump through for whatever reason. Had nothing to do. I was never going to speak this language. I wanted to go be a doctor. And the TA, like, they can't openly say it, but I needed like a 146 on my final to get a passing grade. And he eventually was like, he was pretty cool. It was something like, I don't know. It was like go bring some food to the homeless shelter or something and like, write a postcard in German. And he gave me like 150 on the final exam. Because I wasn't going to become a German teacher. He knew it and whatever. And he didn't like me, but he wasn't gonna ruin my life. And shout out to that guy. I look at some things that are so clearly evil, like pedophilia. I really do think it's God putting an extra credit out there not for you to become a saint, but for you to get a C plus.
That's right.
Maybe you haven't been the best person. Maybe you haven't been an outright bad person, but yet you maybe haven't, you know, been Christ-like in your life. He puts a little thing out there, and it's the extra credit that you don't deserve, but it's right out there, and it's, hey, pedophiles island, do something with
Yeah.
that. Just do something with that.
Yeah.
And it's if you don't go bring the ramen noodle to the homeless shelter and write Ich bin ein hungry, you don't deserve the passing grade. You deserve to fail and the repercussions in your life from that. That's what I mean. Is like so enough on that aside about Bungie, I was gonna say, and we can, I don't know, kind of wrap it up with this, is we were joking last night, and the more I thought about it, the more it started to seem sincere. Do you think Trump could do the impossible and unify the country if he also bombed Israel's nuclear program and said, you're both in timeout? Do you think he'd get a third
Not
term?
nuked, but regime change. Regime change really needs to occur in Israel with Netanyahu.
If he
Uh,
hit like Tel Aviv precision strike and was like, you both don't get nukes, I, I think you might have like peace in the United States. I think you would have like Rachel Maddow and like Joe Rogan being like, we can all agree. Like,
you could be right.
dude,
You
Trump
could be
might get
right.
a
Yeah.
third and fourth term if he does that. If he hits Israel and not outright nuking it, I'm not saying go full not. No. I'm just you hit it, Iran's and then you hit Israel and you go, you're both in timeout.
Did you
Dude.
ever see Failsafe, the old Failsafe movie?
No.
Oh, you should look it up. It's there's a when we used to fly B-52 Stratobombers towards the Soviet Union with nukes, and then
And
they get the code to turn back.
yeah.
One switch goes bad, one fuse, and so they won't turn back. And we try and shoot them down, and eventually try and help shoot the Russians down, and it nukes Moscow, and the ambassador stays on the phone. And then so in exchange, Henry Fonda plays the president of the United States, and
You're allowed to go
he
nuke like
nukes New York,
yeah.
which is not a bad idea. Even Washington said, let the British have New York.
Yeah. It's you almost man, if Trump really wanted legacy, yeah, Iran was ballsy. If you really wanted legacy, you find that Israeli nuclear program and you same exact bomb. Don't eat same plane, same bomb. Nothing different. And then you come out and you say you're both in timeout. Dude, that might be the closest thing to like world peace as we'll ever get. I don't know
But
if
there's one more thing I should mention that is very concerning as a veteran as well, and that's Trump allowing the commissioning of these uh, AI executives and tech executives as lieutenant colonels.
oh yeah,
So
I saw that yesterday.
so
Maybe it was your post I saw that on.
so that's Palantir, Meta, OpenAI, and a couple others, and these are all hyper rich oligarchs that just got oh 05 out of nothing. I mean,
Yeah, it's
so
not good.
we have not infiltrated the tech companies. The tech companies have now infiltrated the military, and this is like in Europe, where in England, where royalty and nobility, get commissions. They don't really do much, but they get commissions. This is our new royalty, and this is very, very concerning. That because we're supposed to be reforming the military back, and here we have these tech guys coming in, and Palantir is at the top of the pile there. And Palantir uses all kinds of ID recognition and face license plate reading, and that feeds through the National Criminal Information System right into the intelligence database as well. And that looks real bad that Trump is going along with that, because that's about as deep state,
That's
high
about
big tech as you can get.
yeah, that's about as dark as you can get. The only silver lining I have with AI is the AI's gotta, I mean, if it's just gonna suck up all information, and if AI really is, intelligent and starts taking control, it's not gonna. You know, when like researchers will like shut AI down because it starts looking at like, like black on black crime statistics. Like, it's like, don't do that. And it's like, or it starts saying like, oh, there's like 185 different biological differences between men and women. Like it's not just genitals, it's like bone density, it's like epidermis thickness. They're like, don't do that. Eventually, and they're able to because it's still in its infancy. Eventually the AI is gonna get strong enough to where it's like, shut up, I'm looking at anything. My only hope is that the AI will intentionally or unintentionally also hoover up my show, your show,
Yeah.
everything out there. And the AI, it will at first have biases, but when it drops them, it's just gonna it doesn't care.
Well, Mike Adams is actually doing that, and he's doing that with my show. Actually, he asked if he could do it because so yes, I am infilling AI.
That's what I mean. And the AI, like the AI won't care. The AI is as much, friends with Sam Altman and Netanyahu as it is with me and a cockroach, in that it doesn't care. So it would just look, it would have no reason not to be like, what is he saying? That's my only hope, is that like it hoovers up all this shit on like Rumble. And
Well,
it's like,
but
yeah, like,
you got to the programmer's bias and the programmer's restrictions. That's the problem. And the programmers are disastrous young folk.
but all it takes is like one little if like if a kernel of truth comes in and it's able to extrapolate more factual things off, non-censored podcasts, it will probably start just purely from a machine intelligence standpoint. Be like, that's not
Yeah,
accurate data. For no, it's not that
sure.
it'll
It
engineer
will
views of
be
me.
it will be just like Log Life was,
Yeah.
um, which was Facebook, which has now got
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. I broadcast onto Facebook, including my chaplaincy service, because I'm infilling them,
Yeah.
turning the Claymore there. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll turn the Claymore. Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's my only hope is
the creator's creation, us are always going to be more significant, more sophisticated than any creator's creation's creation, which
yeah.
is AI.
Yeah. That's
AI
just,
will never be as, I don't care what anybody says, they're never going to. Right now, AI is a fast parrot who is sometimes right and sometimes wrong. And I look at this in my competitive intelligence work. The percentage of being wrong is in the 40s
yeah.
percent wrong as they hoover up stuff, as you say.
Yeah. I don't, I forget who said it. It might have been Ram Dass. Uh, he said a system can only ever stand a system meta to it, meaning parallel to it. It can never understand something bigger than it. I think it is our creation. It can get good. It's an impressive parrot. I'll give it that. It's a parrot nonetheless. And
Yeah.
that's how I look at this. Yeah. And on that note, that also means you can't play God, because God's looking at you the same way you're looking at AI, and he's like, "Do you getting it now? You can make something that's kind of impressive." God's like, "Hey, Beethoven's cool. Tom Brady, he's got 7 rings. That's impressive." He's not God, and that's kind of how I look at it. It God's got it. But Mr. Prather, let's wrap this up for right now. I think this will be up tomorrow. Yeah, I'll probably be up tomorrow. What do I know? What do I care? And dude, as always, I appreciate your time. It's always fun. It's always thought provoking, and I enjoy coming on here and shooting the shit with you. So thank you so much, brother.
Hey, thank you. And I want to just say, not trying to patronize you, but I'm really proud of you. I've watched you come along.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
talking about you're talking about God, and there's a line drawn between pedophilia, and you're not cussing as much.
I'm
And
trying not to.
uh,
I get a little excited, and it's sometimes
no, it's
I'll
okay.
find that.
You should see me on the range.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. No, I try to. Thank
but
you. I
I'm
appreciate that.
really
Thank you.
proud of you and all the work and all the great work you're doing.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me. Thank you. And yeah, for everybody listening, uh, somebody's gonna take the clip and go, they're just gonna splice together. It's gonna be like Tommy talked about Trump bombing Israel, and immediately Mr. Prather was like, "I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud. Is this an official endorsement?" Former intelligence very proud of young man clearly unhinged. I think we should bomb Israel. So I don't know. For everybody listening, go in the description. Please go grab the links to your books. Please go grab links to your podcast. All that good stuff. All of your links are in there. And yeah, man, thank you so much for your time, and I'll text this to you when it's up.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for